saw something the other day. It tickled me, and as I looked at my neighbor, I said, that right there, that's what a dad does. Today at the Radio Backyard Fence, tell me what a dad does. Tell me what your dad did, or what you as a dad like to do to show delight with your children. It's a radio celebration here on the Friday before Father's Day, on this Juneteenth celebration as well. Let's see what good things might come from this conversation on Chris Fabry Live, the program from the heart, to the heart, for the heart. Let me thank our team. Trish is our producer. Lisa's in the chair today. Chris Seagard is a dad. He's filling in for Ryan. Ryan will return on Monday. And Tahiro will be taking your calls today, and I want to hear your dad's story. But first, since it's Friday, that's right, it's time for the fabulous Fabry Friday. Si, what does it do, Chris? I'll tell you. 1, we oxygenate your blood. 2, we get your endorphins going. 3, we raise your serotonin level. 4, we promote lymphatic drainage. And 5, we stimulate your parasympathetic system. That's why we call it the 5 lung languages. We also stimulate your vagus nerve. We help you release acetylcholine. And don't you dare forget what it does, the cortisol dissipation. Take in 4 seconds of air through your nose, hold it 4 seconds, and then as you release that air through your mouth, push on the left side of your rib cage to get rid of all that bad carbon dioxide. Give a sigh today for the dads who show love to their children in unique ways, who toss their toddlers up into the air and catch them as mom gasps and the child giggles. That's what a dad does. Give a sigh for the dad who plays tricks on his kids, who tells them they're going to be late for the bus, hurries them out the door, and the kids don't realize it's Saturday. Or the dads who dress up in a costume and embarrass their kids getting off the bus. That's what a dad does. He has fun with his kids. He delights to hear them laugh and giggle and squeal when he tickles them. The fabulous Fabry Friday Sigh is brought to you by Dads of America, who do what dads do, all rights reserved. Void where prohibited. So the other day, I was in our front yard, and I heard this sound. It's an unmistakable sound. And I try not to be a nosy neighbor, you know, when things are going on, but this sound was just so infectious. It just grabbed me. You could not escape it. And there's a berm or a rise in the land between our house and Joe's and his wife's and their 2 little daughters. So I had to peek up, you know, I had to get a little high enough to see over there, and this is what I saw. Joe had a garden hose, and he was washing his camper. They had just gotten back from a camping trip, and he was cleaning the dirt and the dust off the outside of the camper. And the 2 girls, there's like 5, 7, somewhere around in there. The 2 girls were in shorts and shirts, regular attire for an Arizona summer, not swimwear though. And the girls were running up to Joe and kind of wagging their fingers in front of him. And I could tell what they were saying. Just, you can't do that. You can't do that. And Joe would turn the nozzle toward them and just soak them, and they'd squeal and go laughing and running across the driveway. And he'd turn back and he'd continue hosing down the camper. And here they came again. You can't do that to us. And here comes the water again. Here comes the squeals. Here comes the laughter, the giggles. And I looked at that and I thought, that's what a dad does. Not that moms can't do that same kind of thing, but it's like, no, that's what a dad does. I think I want to do a program on what a dad does. So I want to hear from you today. What did your dad do that showed you in his quirky little way that he loved you? How did he get a kick out of you as a child? Did he play a trick on you? Did he do something that you look forward to and made you laugh and giggle, and you told him, no, don't do that, stop, stop, stop? But he laughed as well. Tell me what your dad did. Here's the number. Hey, just you and me today, and your story might help somebody else. 877-548-3675. Or maybe you're the dad today, and you want to tell me the delight you have in making your kids giggle or laugh. Or maybe you did that 50 years ago and it's coming back to you today. Oh, we're going to remember today. 877-548-3675. The lines are totally open for you and me today. Yesterday, David Thomas was on the program and I told that story to him, the story about my neighbor Joe. And David has been counseling kids and their families for something like 30 years. Here is how he responded to that story.
Oh my goodness. I love that story. And you know what it makes me think of, Chris? Sissy has this statement in her book, Raising Girls. She says, girls who are delighted in feel more delightful in the world. And that's exactly what I thought of when you said that. The girls who are delighted in feel more delightful in the world. And what a picture of it, and how he's taking advantage of the opportunity to delight in them in the everyday of just spraying water after a camping trip, how he's delighting in them and going camping and letting them experience their capability. Like, I think there is a profound difference that dads make when they prioritize delight. And I think it defines not just so much of who a girl is, but I think it absolutely defines who a boy is as well.
Amen.
But I think to something you said earlier, we can get so task-oriented and so committed to problem solving and fixing. Sometimes we forget the art of delight. And so I love how you spoke to that a little bit earlier in our conversation today.
Yeah. Girls who are delighted in feel more delightful in the world. Is that true? Have you experienced that? And was your dad a part of that? Tell me your story. 877-548-3675. The day after I saw Joe, I knew I was onto something because I started to slow down. I started to notice things. I was at the big box store. Colors are blue and yellow. And there was this boy who was sitting in the main part of the shopping cart, not in the, where you put the little kids. This was a little older boy. And he was sitting in the shopping cart, holding on to both sides, looking forward. And the dad was pushing the cart, and he would lift the back. It made me laugh just thinking about it. He would lift the back wheels of the cart, and he would sway it kind of back and jiggle it back and forth like the kid was on a roller coaster, And the boy just could not stop smiling from ear to ear. And the dad was being careful not to run into me or anybody else, but you could tell he was having fun. And I looked at that and I said, that's what a dad does. Again, not that moms can't do these things. They can have fun in different ways as well. But there is something about the way a dad delights in his kids. April is in Indiana. April, why'd you call today? And I don't hear April for some reason, Chris. April, well, it's June. We ought to hear April, or maybe it's the wrong month. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break. I want to take your calls. You tell me how your dad delighted in you. 877-548-3675. Tell me, when you look at your dad, you say, here's what he did. That's what my dad did and how he delighted. So the D's are all over the place. 877-548-3675. Your call's coming up straight ahead on Moody Radio. This is Chris Fabry live on Moody Radio. It's just a fun day here at the Radio Backyard Fence because Father's Day is coming, and I'm looking at what dads do, and I'm seeing the response on Facebook. Oh, there's some great stories, and I got some stories, and I think we're going to have some people. Chris said, I don't think your voice is being heard by our callers. I'm hearing you on the air, but well, let's try it. Let's try Denise in Vermont. Denise, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yay, it works. I'm so happy. Okay, tell me why you called today.
Well, the memory that I have of my father, now this was 60 years ago, okay? No, it was probably 65 years ago. He insisted that we make kites. And then went out in the field and we flew the kites and just ran around and had lots of fun, laughed with him, and he was telling us jokes about the kites and everything else. So we just had a lot of fun. And I remember that very clearly.
Why do you think you remember that?
Because there wasn't an awful lot that my father did with us. So I try to remember only the good things that he did.
Yes. And in this, he spent time with you. Some of his personality came out. What did your dad do for a living? What was his work?
Well, it'd be easier for me to tell you what he didn't do because, like I've said many times, he was a master of many different things. He did all kinds of things. He worked at the railroad. He worked at he was a chef. He was a carpenter. He was a okay.
And so he was busy. He was busy. He was working. He was providing. And so the a harness raiser too. So him taking time in the field with you and the kites, that stuck because it was the quality time that he had for you, and it was just you and the other kids, right?
Yeah. One of the other things that he did just with me is I loved horses. And I knew he was going to go look at a horse for horse racing. I had heard him speak of it the night before, and the next day I got up real early when I heard them get up and got dressed and came downstairs, and my mom's arguing that I got to go to school and everything. My dad said, listen, she's an A student. She can take one day off.
That's what a dad does. That's what a dad does right there.
Yes. I went with him to go see the horses and had so much fun.
Look at that. And that was 60-some years ago, and you brought that here today, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I was actually I was in the 4th grade when that happened because it was just after a house burned. And I was in the 4th grade when a house burned.
Okay, I want every dad to listen to what Denise just said right there. That this makes an implant in the brain of that child for her dad to spend time, make the kite, tell the jokes, but then for her dad to see her and say, she's a good student, she could take a day off and go see the horse. Look at what that did 60-some years later, about 60 maybe, for Denise in Vermont. That's what a dad does. Lori says, when tucking me into bed, now listen to this, he would lift the blanket in the air and let it fall on us like a cloud falling down. So just in that part of the story, it's bedtime, Dad comes in, lifts up the blanket, and she said on us, so there must have been either more than one child to the bed or several children who needed to have the blanket in the air. But this is what he would do. He would lift it in the air, let it fall, settle down like a cloud. And she says the air would fan our face. He did it several times. That's what a dad does. How about you? Now April is back in Indiana. April, now you can hear me. Tell me why you called.
Hi, Chris. I called my dad. He was not saved when we were growing up, but he was, my mom, she took us to church there were 5 kids, and she packed us every Sunday, Wednesday night, and he backed her up on everything. So we knew, but he was funny. He would take our cats, and there was 4 girls and 1 boy, and we were all born within 6.5 years, so we were all really close. And he would grab our cats and tell us he was taking them to the kitty cat dentist, and he would hold their mouth open and act like he was going to pull all their teeth, and we would just go, no, let him go, and and the cat would squirm, but he wasn't really hurting it. But then finally he'd let us have the cat, and then we'd bring it back, and we'd be in there petting the cat like we're trying to comfort it. And he'd take the cat again and say, it's going to the kitty cat dentist. And we would be like, don't pull their teeth. And he would just act like he was going to do it. And we were just sure he was going to, but we knew he wasn't. And it was just really funny. I'll never forget him saying, to the point where I'll pick up one of the pets and say, oh, I need to take him to the cat dentist, But
see, now there's a thing. There's a thing that happens. These moments become these connecting things. And my guess is that you can look at your siblings today and talk about the kitty cat dentist, and they don't even need to hear dentist. They just hear kitty cat, and boom, they're there, right?
Yes. We laughed at his stuff all the time. And he got saved before he passed, and it was a beautiful thing. My mom died first, and the only way he could get a hold of her, like, is she had Bibles where she wrote things in them. So he was like, I came over and she would talk about different things. She would have dates written in her Bible. And I'd say, he'd go, what do you think was going on this date with Mom? So it was like the only way to reach back out to my mom was to open her Bible and see what she was thinking at that time in her life. And I thought, I'm going to write in my Bible because I saw what it did for my dad, because that was his way of, she had Bibles there, and he started watching Christian programming, and he just, you saw a change in him. We knew he got saved before he actually said he was saved. You could see the difference in him. But, I mean, he was ornery, and he was funny, but he did. Finally, we were like, he was passing, we were like, my son called him and he asked him, he said, Dad or Grandpa, are you, ready? And then my sister was there and she said, we know you're ready, but we need to hear you say the prayer. Yes. And tears rolled down his face as he asked for forgiveness, because Mom had said, pray for your dad all our lives. And when we'd go to church, and it was beautiful. We were all there when he passed, and it was so peaceful. And we just knew he was going home to be with the Lord.
Right there.
And it was,
you've just described it again. That's what a dad does too. The humility that he showed, the tears. And my guess is that your mom prayed for him unceasingly until she passed away. And then she spoke to him through those dates in the Bible as well. And there's something instructive for all of us. And here's what I want you to do as you listen to these stories here today. April, thank you. What is the common denominator of this? What's the common denominator of Denise and the kites and the going to see the horses? What's the common denominator with April and the kitty cat dentist and her dad's sense of humor, and then later on him coming to Christ and the dates in the mom's Bible? What are the common denominators of all these stories that we can say that's what a dad does? Here's the number. I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines for you. 877-548-3675. Joan says, my daddy was a hard worker and didn't have a lot of money, but at bedtime, all 5 of his children climbed into his bed and made up stories for us. He didn't read books to us. He just made up exciting stories. One of the wonderful memories of my dad. That's what a dad does. Nicole's in Chicago. Nicole, why did you call today?
I called to share a great story about my dad as well. He was the instigator of dance parties.
What kind of dance parties are you talking about?
So my dad was a Chicago police officer. He worked all kind of crazy shifts, and oftentimes he would come home early in the morning, early hours prior to us waking. And he would just come in and turn the radio on in the living room really loud. And it was hysterical because we would be sleeping, but, we would kind of, look at each other and roll our eyes. It's Dad. And he would say, up, 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 I'm up, everybody's up. And we would get up, and my mom and him would just be, dancing in the living room, and we would just come down and dance. And it was like his way. I think it was his way of kind of shaking the day off, if you will, but also starting out our day. I mean, what better note than that? And I will tell you that music and the love of dance stayed with our family. And, my brother and I we love music. We love to dance. My parents were great dancers. They were, back in the day, jitterbuggers, and they could both dance on skates. And we just always would go and seek out live music and dance together. So it has stayed with us for our whole life.
I bet your dad saw some really hard stuff, didn't he?
He definitely did. When we were younger, he didn't share very much. As we got older, oftentimes it would be a lesson behind whatever he shared, but he definitely did see a lot of things. And as he got older and was aging, he shared more and more about, if he couldn't be the dad that he really hoped to be, it was because of what he faced.
Yeah. the heaviness of that. But I can see where him turning the radio up and coming in and getting you all up, how that would relieve some of that stress and all that he'd been through.
Totally. Oh, and it made us have such a great day after that, too.
Yeah.
It was a great way to start the day.
Because your dad saw you. So that's one of the common denominators is seeing. Thank you, Nicole, for calling here today. There's another message on Facebook. I got to get this in. Hope said this. It's hard for me to put this in writing. It's better on audio. My dad used to make fun of the music I listened to. The song was Wanna Be Startin' Something by Michael Jackson. That was one of the funny ones. I think it was on the Thriller album. That music chant at the end, my dad changed the words to boom, boom, cletchy, cletchy, yeah, yeah. Every time Michael was on, he would say, is that boom, boom? Did the same with the Innkeeper's song from Les Miserables. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. He called it the Ricky Ticky song. And when the show came near and we got tickets, during that song, he was, I'm glad I wasn't near. He would sing out in the theater, it's Ricky Ticky this, Ricky Ticky that. What is the common denominator of that? And the music there and the fun and the delight and the dad. Betsy is somewhere in the great state of California. Betsy, why did you call today?
Okay, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, good. Okay, I called because I had such a, I'm trying to make sure I don't cry, but my dad was such a daddy. He was so paternal, but he was so fun and sweet. So he had 8 kids. My dad's from South Carolina, but he was career military, so we moved around. But he had this Southern thing where all of us had nicknames. They hardly ever called us our first name, you know. So my name was Pader, and the long version is, hi, Pader. So it's because when he was stationed off the coast of California, he would come home on the weekends. I was under 1 year old, that I would say, hi there, you know, trying to say hi there. So he would say it back to me, and he said sometimes I'd have spaghetti in my mouth, and it would fly everywhere, you know. So throughout my life, he sometimes called me Pader for short, Padere. And in my birthday cards, he put Pader, and then sometimes hi Pader. And then when I call him on the phone, when he heard my voice, he'd say, hi there, you know. So he always baby talked us, all the kids had their nickname. And then he'd say, I'm saying our whole life he did this. He died in his 80s, and he got dementia, but before it really got bad, he was still baby talking us. And the way he did that, when he'd see us, he'd say the nickname, and then he'd say, what do you think, Pader? What do you think? You know, he all our life he baby talked us, you know. And then he taught me how to, I was outside trying to twirl the baton when I was a little kid, and I guess he saw me out the window, so he came out and he taught me how to do that. He taught me how to do the stick shift sitting next to him. I mean, he introduced me to Waldorf salad. Like, he's like, have you heard about this salad? And anyways, I still eat that like a lot.
And
but
when you eat it, you think of him every time, right?
Yeah, I so many things. Now that he's passed, I see, and my mom, they both passed. I think of him more. I mean, I see different characteristics, like the way I drive. I drive a lot like him. He was a very calm driver, and he never got a ticket. I mean, except when he pulled he pulled something and he was supposed to go 20 miles under. He never got in a car wreck. Like, he was a super calm person like that. But he was really fun, animal lover, kid lover. He always played with kids. Even whenever kids were around, he was making faces and having fun. And yeah, he was really sweet and fun and a daddy. But he had authority. He had an authority where he could just say something to us. He didn't have to raise his voice, or he wasn't, you know, he just had that kind of a healthy authority when he talked to us, you know, to put us in place, you know, whatever.
But to have a nickname for you that you brought out here today, even though he's no longer with us, Pader, I can just hear him and see his smile when he's, and what do you think about that? You know, and the Waldorf salad. I am so glad you got through today, Betsy, because there's somebody who needed all of these memories. When you share a memory, it's like priming a pump. you sharing your memory is going to prime somebody else's memory. So I'm going to keep the lines open. We're just talking about dads. That's what a dad does. And maybe you want to give us the nickname that your dad had for you and how that just warms your heart even as you say it. 877-548-3675. Growing up, I thought my dad's flashlight holder and tool assistant was the most annoying job in the world. Looking back, those are some of my sweetest memories. Now, whenever my husband is fixing something, I send the kids over to ask how they can help. He loves it, and it melts my heart seeing them learn alongside him. And the funniest thing, every time I smell sawdust, I instantly think of my dad. Some memories never leave us. How about you? That's what a dad does. 877-548-3675. Have your Waldorf salad and come on back for more straight ahead on Moody Radio. Karen says, my dad made everything fun, but when we were little, he played a wrestling game with us called Ding Ding. He sat in the middle of the room. The three of us went to corners of the room. Dad would yell, ding, ding. We ran from our corners to all jump on him at once, wrestling a bit, and then Dad would yell, ding, ding, again, and we'd run back to our corners. So fun for us. After several times, Dad was worn out and the game was over. Ding, ding. That's what a dad does. Play ding, ding. Shelly is on the line. Shelly, tell me about your dad.
Well, Monday nights, my mother bowled on a bowling league, so it was just my dad and I. It was our night. And she would always say before she left, now, you have her in bed by 8 o'clock. So he would let me sit up and watch TV. We would watch TV together and until we heard her car in the driveway. And then we would make a mad dash for the bedroom and hop into bed and try to pretend like I was asleep.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot now, Shelly. What on Monday nights when you were a little girl at 8 o'clock? What was on TV?
I Love Lucy.
Yes.
And I Love Lucy and like the Andy Griffith Show, I believe. Those.
And didn't Gunsmoke? Gunsmoke came on at like 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you get to stay up and watch James Arness as Matt Dillon? Maybe not. Shelly, God bless you, friend. Thank you. That's it. Letting her stay up a little bit later on. Sherry is in Fort Lauderdale. Hey, Sherry, how you doing today?
Hi, Chris. How are you today? God bless you.
I'm doing great. Tell me about your dad.
Good, and happy Father's Day to you as well. My dad, it was me and my brother. We grew up in Lime, Ohio, until we moved to Kentucky. But he worked a lot, and so one of my favorite memories is him coming home from work, and he would play with us. He would make us. He would pin us down. Back then, Tony Atlas, I think, was the big wrestler. He would pin us down like one of the wrestlers and make us smell his armpit, and we would try to hold our breath so we wouldn't have to smell it, but he would pin us down until we had to breathe, and we had to breathe his stinky arms.
That's what a dad does right there. I'm sorry, folks, if that hurts your sensibilities, but that's what a dad does. Okay, Sherry, what did your dad do then for a living? What was his work? Did he work at like a plant or something?
He was a janitor. He was actually a school janitor.
Was he really?
Like until I was in the 4th grade. Yep. So I saw him every morning at school, and then he did become the city. He works for the city for the meter readers.
Okay. So what was it like having your dad as the janitor in your school? Did you like that?
I did. At first, it was like, Dad is always here, but I'll never forget one time because my mom was a nurse and worked nights, and so sometimes we stayed with him. And I remember one time some music came on in the school, and I just started spinning like a ballerina. And he was like, "Oh, you're my beautiful ballerina. You could be a ballerina. You could be anything you want to be." I ended up being a ballerina, but just, his encouragement in front of me that I could do anything I wanted to be. And I'll always love my dad. He's passed away now, but I'll always love him.
I have memories of janitors at the schools where I went, and some of the greatest, and they were mostly men, but some of the best men were janitors who just kind of, did everything that they was asked of them and then some, and communicated well. And not every janitor is like that, but that's what I experienced. And Sherry, I'm glad we got to honor your dad here today. I've got to get Debbie, Mary, and Jim in here to tell it's Corey and Debbie and Mary. Corey, he would always tickle me with his beard. Good thing I'm not even ticklish. Debbie, on my dad's day off, he wouldn't shave and had what I called prickles. He would hug me and gently rub his chin on my cheeks while I squealed for him to stop. And Mary said the same thing. He would chase us around the house after he got home from work and try to rub his scratchy 5 o'clock shadow stubble against our faces. We all screamed and laughed. That's what a dad does. Now, there's one more. I got to say, Jim and Karen. 1971, California, we had a big earthquake. After that, the way he woke us up every day was to shake the bed. And we hated it. We loved him. We lost him 9 years later. Thank you. Yeah, I could see that. That's what a dad does right there. Sarah is in Ohio. Hi, Sarah. Go right ahead.
Hi, Chris. So my favorite memory about my dad is actually one that started out very badly and turned good. He came home from work one day and he was tired, and he pulled his truck in the driveway and saw all of his tools strung all over the backyard. And he saw that we had dug holes in his grass and stuck giant limbs and trees in the holes. And we had pulled out all of the shingles from behind the garage that he was going to use to make a new roof. And they were strewn all over the yard. And he was so upset and so angry, and he yelled at us, "Get this cleaned up!" And we're crying, pulling all the shingles back into piles. And we got it all cleaned up. And he asked us, he's like, "What in the world were you thinking?" And we told him that we were trying to make Christmas in July for him, and that the trees in the holes were Christmas trees, and his tools were the presents, and the shingles all over the grass were the paths. And I've heard my dad tell this story many times since being a small child, but he said that stopped him right in his tracks. And he felt so bad. He said his heart just dropped out of his chest, and he, gave us big hugs. And even to this day, though, when I just got married, and my husband is going to celebrate his first Father's Day this year, and I picked someone just like my dad. It was really important for me to find someone who wasn't afraid to apologize and wanted to make sure that we knew that he felt bad when he messed up. It was very cool. What
a story. Sarah, you got to write that down. That's a really, really good story, because it shows, one of the common denominators here is that not only does your dad see you, but even if he's angry and upset and has reason to be, he listens. He hears your heart, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so is this the Sarah that I've known for so long, for 25 years or so? Okay, all right. So Sarah called up when you were homeschooled, and all through homeschool, then you went to college and moving away from home, and then you got married, and now you've got a baby. Is that right?
Yes, Ezra just turned 8 months old, and so my husband will celebrate his first Father's Day, and we just made him a little card. I traced our hands on paper, and it's very hard to get an 8-month-old to hold still long enough to trace their hands for a card, but we did it, and I'm very proud of that. Love it.
Sarah, God bless you, friend. Thank you. Stay away from the shingles now, to take my advice, but thank you for telling that story. There's some dad who needed to hear that today. And maybe that brings up some guilt and some shame and some, looking back over your shoulder. I wish I'd done it. I wish I had listened. It's not too late if you're the dad who didn't listen back then to say, I heard Sarah tell this story on this program, this program about that's what a dad does. And you tell the story. Did I ever do anything like that? Did you ever do anything? and you had some motivation that was good, but I got mad at you. You enter into the life of your child or an adult, your adult child like that, and walls might start to come down that have been built up for a long time. I don't guarantee it, but if you tell it as well as Sarah did, Beth says he changed the key on my skates multiple times, always with a smile. I'm aging myself here. She says, I could never stay on skates. But I remember the keys and how important those were. And if you didn't have them, there's problems. Carrie is in Tampa, Florida. Carrie, tell me about your dad.
Hi, how are you today, Chris?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I want to share that everyone's story is tremendous to my heart. Thank you for all sharing it. You, Sarah, that was incredible. Thank you. My daddy, we were born in Buffalo. I have a twin brother, an older sister, and a younger brother. And my mom and dad owned a bar, and our home was above it. And I remember the year of the blizzard, he took everybody in the town into our home, into the bar. They were sleeping on the pool tables, the booths. My mom had the Formica catering tables, cafeteria-style tables. They dropped them all in the basement, and people were sleeping on those. We had a couple people living in our house during the blizzard. My mom and dad, I always include my mother too. They did snowball fights with us. They took us sledding. They built snowmen. We did. I remember my daddy in the backyard building an igloo with us. We were really young, and it was just wonderful.
And everything you just described there didn't take a whole lot. Didn't take a whole lot of money. Might not have taken. It took time. It just took spending time with you and kind of investing in you, and being present with you, right?
Well, so my mom would tend bar, and he would take care of us, or my dad would tend bar and Mama would take care of us, or they both tended bar and Elaine would take care of us, or we had a nanny because Elaine was, 6 years older and she had other things in her life going on. So Herb and Carl and my dad would lay on the floor and bounce Carl on his belly, and we'd be climbing all over Daddy. Matter of fact, that was when he passed away, New Year's Day. We were climbing all over Daddy, and he got up off the floor, put Carl down, and got up in the bed and died. And it's sad, but it's reality, and I think back on it. But I remember him taking us out of the bubble bath and double fisting us on the ironing table, changing our diapers and clothing us.
Listen, you hear the laugh right there. Carrie, just the laugh that you had, and I bet there are more stories about, when you grew up, but the fact that your dad died and you remember that day and you were with him, he was present there with you. I think that's one of the common denominators that I'm seeing throughout all of these different stories, is how much of a difference it makes when you are present with that child, that son, that daughter, when you see that son or daughter, when you hear their heart, when you listen well to them, and you laugh as well. Oh, there's so many good stories here. Thank you for calling today. This is Chris Fabry Live on Moody Radio. If you go to the website, chrisfabrylive.org, you can see how you can support us with a gift of any size. I got a gift for you. I want to tell you about that. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, I'll tell you about that straight ahead on Moody Radio. In March, Dr. John Perkins passed away, and I remember when we did a tribute program for him about his life, his daughters came on here and told some of the same kinds of stories. Because Dr. Perkins, civil rights movement, racial reconciliation, he was a big deal. He knew a lot of people and he spoke a lot of places and he had this fire in his belly, but he was a dad. And I wanted to honor him this month by sending his book, One Blood, Parting Words to the Church on Race and Love. It's our thank you this month. And if you go to chrisfabrylive.org and scroll down or call 866-95-FABRY, give a gift of any size before the end of the month and we'll send it to you. Love to put this in your hands just as a thank you for your support and what you're doing here for us at the Radio Backyard Fence. Again, go to chrisfabrylive.org or call 866-953-2279. I want to hear Randy's story in Colorado. Randy, go.
Hi. So I live in Montrose, Colorado now, but this story happened in central Maine back in the late 60s and 69. I was 13 years old. We had one of those old reel type push mowers, and that was hard. One day, Dad took me with him. We went to a Western Auto store, and he paid $179 for a brand new lawnmower, push mower, gasoline-powered one, which for us was pretty big. And that, by the way, that $179 would be like probably $500 or $600 today. We lost Dad in the early 90s, around 92, but when this happened, basically, he took that lawnmower home. I used it. I mowed the lawn. One day, Dad went to work. He had a light blue Ford pickup, went to work. And I took that lawnmower all apart. I mean, all apart. I had a 4x8 sheet of plywood, put it on the grass, and every part that would come off from that lawnmower was off that lawnmower. Much to my shock, I looked down the driveway, and up comes this light blue Ford. And I knew I was in deep, deep trouble. Dad pulled up, got out of the truck, looked down at me. He looked at all those parts on that piece of plywood. He says, Randy, can you put that back together? What was I going to say? Yes, sir. And I did. He went in the house, and I put it back together, put the oil in it, put gas in it, and got it started. And as soon as he heard it run, he came out of the house. No smile, no nothing, just looked at me and says, now you come with me. And he loaded me in that truck, and away we went. We went to this place, and I knew the fellow, it was a junk dealer. His name was Willie. And all I could think of was, oh, no, I'm going to be living with Willie. But no. He went out back with Willie. They came back, and Dad gave Willie some money and gave me an old outboard motor. And then they put it in the truck, and Dad says, now you play with this is yours. Leave my lawnmower alone. And back then, we would have called it a licking. I expected to get a licking, and I never did.
Because he saw you. He saw you. Anybody could put that lawnmower together. So what did you wind up doing with that?
Well, put it together. We used it for many years.
I mean, the gift of being able to be a mechanic like that.
My first job when I got married, and I got married young, I became a small engines mechanic. I actually became a professional chainsaw mechanic up in the state of Maine. My father, at the time that I took that machine apart, was a mechanic. And what he did was he recognized in me what he needed to nurture. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional here, but he recognized that. And I never forgot that. He always had my back. And he was always willing to help that way.
He called it from he called it from your inside you, is what he did. He called it out, Randy, and allowed you to become who he knew you could be, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about that story and that story that Sarah told, because there's just something about your dad seeing you and being able to affirm you, being able to tickle you as well, and, with the beard and everything, but being able to not yell at you, but to say, hey, there's something here. You shouldn't have done that. Stay away from my lawnmower, but you've got something going on down there. And I feel the same way about the prodigal son. What did the dad do? He waited. He watched. He got that calf fat. That took some time. He had a robe and a ring ready. And when the son returned, what did he do? Did he wait to come and say? He ran. He hugged his neck. My son's come home. Oh, the delight. Psalm 18, he brought me out into a broad place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. Psalm 147, but the Lord takes pleasure in those who fear him and those who hope in his steadfast love. Remember the voice that came from heaven, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased, or in whom I delight. Do you believe that God delights in you? I mean, we could say that all day long. God loves us, for God so loved the world. But do you feel that? What kind of love is it? Is it conditional? Is it, well, if I do this, then God will love me. If I do the things that make him happy, he's happy with me. If I don't, there's no delight. If you're in Christ, there is no condemnation. You and I may be disciplined to help us mature, to help us become who he wants us to be, but that's him acting out of his love, out of his delight in the process. So today, take a Friday sigh, take a deep lungful of air, and know that your Heavenly Father delights in you. You are the apple of his eye. And I hope that encouraged you today. Come on back Monday. If you have some soul chains, they can be broken. We'll talk about it on Chris Fabry Live, a production of Moody Radio, a ministry of Moody Bible Institute.